Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Today's video is part 2 of my analysis regarding the United States women's national team versus the Netherlands in the quarterfinal match of the Olympics. If you haven't watched part 1, I would highly suggest going back and watch that. I'll have it linked in this description down below. It'll make everything make a lot more sense. In that video I discussed the first half and the second half of regular time, and in this video I will be discussing the double overtime period, the penalties, the individual player analysis, and my final thoughts regarding our team's overall performance. As always, timestamps will be in the description down below if you want to jump around the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, comment down below any thoughts you have, and without further ado, let's get started. So in the first period of overtime, the Netherlands definitely had most of the momentum, most of the possession, and most of the chances. One very influential moment was in the 94th minute. The Netherlands sent a corner in, and we didn't do a good enough job of clearing it. I think it was Christen who got a half clearance. The Netherlands was able to get a shot off, but it was kind of like lofted, and it shouldn't have been threatening, but Alyssa Naeher just did not time it correctly, and she tried to palm it up over the crossbar, but it came right back down, and Lieke Martens got a head on it, but it ended up being offsides. Now going back and looking at it, at the exact moment the ball was kicked, Berensstein's offsides, but Lieke Martens is barely offsides. I think she's offsides just by a little portion of her torso. Kelly O'Hare is barely keeping her on, but at the end of the day, I appreciate the consistency from the referees. If you're not going to give Christen her goal, you definitely can't give this one as a goal either. And so that was a very scary moment because it's like, what, Alyssa, what was that? Like, you just had a phenomenal save and then you're just going to do that. Like, I was like, oh my god, what is happening? But again, we were playing so stupid. Rapinoe was passing it to players who were clearly under pressure. We were trying to dribble it out of the back. For like, Christen was trying to take on 4 defenders. And it's not working when Netherlands is using their high press. And Horan was struggling. She wasn't making good decisions. And she just looked absolutely gassed. And I think we were really lucky that the Netherlands weren't able to take advantage of their poor performance in the first half of extra time. I think it's a real testament to say that our team was absolutely gassed despite 3 forwards being subbed on and Roosevelt being subbed on. We had made 4 subs, and the Netherlands at that time had only made 1. But they'd only made like 2 subs, and they were still going with us. Like, that's outrageous. Like, we have to be better. I'm sorry. If Pino can't last more than 45 minutes, she should not even be on the roster. As a team, we just looked tired. We didn't look disjointed, and we didn't look like we had it in us to do another 15 minutes, and I was really concerned. The Netherlands did have a really huge chance in the first period, though. A very similar situation. Pino didn't do a good enough job of cutting off the pass, and Crystal Dunn let the cross get in. Similar, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like a broken record, Abby Dahlkemper and Kelly O'Hare are 2 players that challenge Vivian Miedema. But guess who the player who actually jumps? Kelly's the only one who actually jumps to contest the header. Dahlkemper just stood there. Kelly is 5'5", so Miedema has a good 4 inches on her. That's a huge difference, especially when, you know, jumping, like, come on. Dahlkemper is 5'8", I believe, or 5'7". So Dahlkemper is a better candidate to challenge for this, but she doesn't even go for it. And Kelly, again, has her man on the back post. What does that tell you? Kelly's willing to let her back post man be open just because she knows Dahlkemper won't challenge it. And even though Kelly did her best, she couldn't prevent it. Miedema got the header, and Alyssa made a fantastic save. But we ended up making it through the first period. We were safe. Now it was on to the second period. Again, I feel like a broken record. Just play smart. We didn't do it. The second period of overtime was definitely our better half. I feel like both teams had their own chances. And this one, we had 2 disallowed goals. One was Christen Press's. Megan Rapinoe played a great ball over top. And again, Press was like a hair offsides. But it's one of those things where if we're going to be consistent throughout this tournament, I'd rather you be consistent and mark that as offsides. And then Alex Morgan again had her chance. She was offside on the initial pass, but she was onside on when the Netherlands made their mistake. But again, it just simply didn't count because that's how the play started. And it's like, we had scored in this tournament 9 disallowed goals, and that's more than the goals we scored that did count. And if that doesn't tell you that our team is just out of sync in all aspects, I don't know what will. Lindsay Horan also almost scored in the late minutes of the second half. She had a bit of a half volley moment, which was going to the upper right corner, but it was barely over. I thought despite Horan struggling, she was very good defensively in her recovery runs. But we definitely were much better in the second half. We had our chances. Pino had a chance. She had a shot. Alex had a shot. She had a chance. Christen had some great chances, and again, Horan. So it's not like we didn't have our moments, but we were just exhausted. And we made it to the end of overtime, and now we had to move on to penalties. I think this was kind of when, like, it really kicked into me that we were going into penalties, because I went to bed at 4:30 on Thursday night, and the game was on Friday morning. I went to bed at 4:30 because I had to be the DD. It was bad. All I have to say is I have to get my card professionally cleaned. But anyway, I woke up at 6 a.m. to watch the game. I had, like, no sleep, and it hits me. We're in penalties. But I wasn't even scared. I was like, we're going on. I was like, we got this. We got players who will take a fantastic penalty. And I think it's just one of those moments where I knew in my gut that we were making it, and I wasn't really concerned. Vivian Miedema, while her penalty was a good, it was a good effort. Alyssa Naeher did her homework. She picked the right spot. She launched herself, and it was a phenomenal save. And that set the tone for the rest of the shootout for the Netherlands. And it gave the United States a huge boost of confidence because we didn't win the coin toss, so we were going second. But we were now technically on the front foot since Miedema missed, which is what we wanted initially. And then Rose goes up and has a fantastic penalty, like 100% confidence, just places it perfectly. And then the Netherlands scores theirs. Alex Morgan goes up, places hers, just beautifully. The way she made her hips go one way and just got her leg around it to force the ball the other way, it didn't even matter if it wasn't hit that hard because the keeper was already sent the wrong way. And then the Netherlands scores theirs, and then Christen Press is going. Now, when Press walked up, I can't lie, my heart was beating so fast just because, like, it's not that I wasn't confident in her. I was just like, you got this? Just place it. Like, I was so nervous for her because I just wanted her to score so bad because I knew how much it would mean for her and for Alex as well to redeem themselves from the 2016 penalty shootout. And exactly what she did. That woman is so mentally tough. I just simply do not understand how she can do that under pressure. I don't understand how any of them can do it. I simply couldn't do it. But takes a few deep breaths and then just places it. And it was wonderful. And she just came sprinting back with a huge smile on her face. And I think the whole team just was like had so much positivity going on, like so much confidence in them. They had been practicing so much. And I think this was an aspect of our game where we had the advantage over Netherlands from the start. And then the Netherlands sends up their center back, and she has a pretty poor penalty. She tried the stutter step, it didn't work. Alyssa Naeher again had a fantastic save, and I think this is when they put Pino over Horan in the penalty shootout, because they realized if we score this, we get to move on. And if she steps up to take a penalty, it's going to go in. And that's exactly what she did. She had an absolute banger. But again, the savior of the penalty shootout was definitely Alyssa Naeher. All 4 of our players made it, and I think it was just a great response going into the next game against Canada. A few players I wanted to talk about. Again, this is going to be very brief because this video is already going to be so long, I can tell. But the first one I wanted to talk about is Lynn Williams. I have given Lynn Williams a lot of shit on this channel, and I've seen a ton of negativity about her. While I don't take back anything I've said. My opinion about her still stands. I don't think she's a very good soccer player, but there's no denying that in this game she showed up 100%. I can't lie. I was concerned when I saw her on the starting lineup. I was disappointed even because I was like, she's gonna go out there and do her typical kick it and run really fast and lose it. But she was phenomenal. In that 5-minute span, she just did everything perfectly, executed that shot perfectly. That cross was phenomenal. But she brought an energy that this team had been lacking. She was out there working hard. She was making runs. She was challenging for balls, giving energy that our team was lacking. And I'm so happy for her. I wish her nothing but the best. And I just think it's one of those things where Vlatko believed in her, our players believed in her, and that's all that mattered to her. And to have the mental toughness to put behind all of the criticism and to just go out there and play is phenomenal. And I give her huge credit because without her, we wouldn't have beat the Netherlands for sure. Alyssa Naeher. Alyssa's a GOAT. I mean, it's funny because I've seen so many comments on social media of people saying Alyssa shouldn't be the #1 goalkeeper, and I just don't get it. It's like, people, every time she plays for Chicago and Chicago gets scored on, people are like, and that's the #1 keeper for the US? I'm like, okay, listen. Chicago's back line, despite having actually good players, is somehow shit. Rory Dames is the issue. I don't know how he still has his job. It's one of those things where it's like, we know Alyssa Naeher is going to step up in big moments. I think the moment she came into the 2019 World Cup, and had ice in her veins and just was freaking rock solid, brick wall, did not let anybody get to her, made the save she needed to save. I think once she did that, there was no doubt in my mind that she was going to be a great leader for this team, and she was always going to step up when she needed to, and that's the exact same thing she did here. She had her iffy moments, but she made up for them with her performance in the penalty shootout. She had her, obviously, the penalty save in the 83rd minute. If she did not save that, we wouldn't have moved on, and so I think she was the savior of this game. Without her, we would have 100% lost, and she deserves so much praise for this performance. And the last player I want to talk about is Abby Dahlkemper. Again, I don't think Dahlkemper should be starting. Honestly, I truly don't. I've thought this for a very long time. I just never really had a game to truly voice my opinions, because when you play Costa Rica and Mexico and all of these teams that, you know, they give a good performance, but we beat them like, what, 6-0? That doesn't test Dahlkemper in any way, shape, or form. But if you watch Dahlkemper play in the NWSL, she gets beat pretty fairly often. She just isn't smart with her decision making. She doesn't stay tight enough with her defender. The only asset I see her bringing to this team is her long ball distribution, but I'm sorry, that is just simply not enough to give you a starting position on this team. If you can't defend 1v1, if you can't stay with your man, if your touch is awful. There was one moment where the ball's sent in and she just heads it, but doesn't get enough power on it for the header to go out of bounds, so Miedema gets on the end of it, drives at her, plays the ball down line, and we almost get scored on just because she didn't clear it. It's just small things like that, it's simple things like that, that really make a huge difference. And again, playing against teams like Netherlands, they're going to punish you for those mistakes. And so I think Tierna is the choice over Dahlkemper. I just can't see Dahlkemper being a good option in the long run. She's just had such a poor tournament. Every time she's near the ball, I hold my breath, and that's concerning. And the fact that Kelly would leave her man wide open on the back post just to go contest a header because she knew Dahlkemper wouldn't shows and tells me all that I need to know. While we did have a pretty okay performance, I'm not going to sit here and say we were wonderful, but we had a glimpse of the spirit that this team had been lacking. The team that we're used to seeing, the United States, the US Women's National Team, who other countries fear playing us. I felt like we kind of saw glimpses of that. There's too much inconsistency with our play. We're intense for a little bit, and then we're not. And then we're a little bit, and then we're not. And then there's a long stretch where we do nothing. And then we'd have a moment, and it's like, we need to be more consistent. There's just so many issues that we have to fix, and I don't think there's enough time to do that in this tournament, unfortunately. Our midfield's completely disjointed. The amount of subs Vlatko has been making has ruined any type of chemistry we could have built with this team. He subs 3 players off all at once, which I think is ridiculous. I mean, tell me, when have you ever seen a coach do that? I've never seen a coach do that, and I never mentioned it because I was like, okay, well, time management. I mean, Jill did a terrible job of this in the last Olympics, so like I kind of don't really have a whole lot of like criticism, but no. Why? We need to do a better job of converting our opportunities. The amount of chances we get to score. Horan, Heath, Carly Lloyd, Christen Press, Alex Morgan have to be better. They have to fucking score their goals, because you cannot win a game without scoring. You can't hope and wait till you get to the penalty shootout. And I think our mentality needs to be better. Yes, we did come back. Our response was fantastic, but it wasn't prolonged enough. Our team just doesn't look in it. They don't look in it, because the old US team I'm used to seeing would be smarter with the ball, would be more disciplined in the way they play, would be patient, and we're just not seeing that. And the thing is I think at this point it's a coaching thing. If your player can't connect a pass for 10 yards or 20 yards, that's a coaching issue. Work on it. Talk about it. But I can feel like I don't know if it's a tension or just confusion, or maybe not everybody's on the same page, but I just don't feel like this team, chemistry-wise, has what it takes to go win this tournament. We just don't look like the team we used to be. And I think we've been getting lucky in this tournament. I think we were lucky in this game. Like, yeah, Netherlands had their chance to win it when they got that penalty, but they didn't take advantage of it. We got lucky. That's luck. I'm sorry. We ain't gonna get that same luck again. It's gonna run out. And so, at the end of the day, while the response was great, I still don't feel very confident with this team because it's so all or nothing. That's kind of how I feel like we are right now. Like, we're either 100% or 0%, and there's just no in between. And that's just not the team I'm used to seeing, and it doesn't make sense to me, because the only difference between the roster from 2019, the World Cup winning roster, to now is Christen and the addition of the alternates. But the core group of players are still there. So the core group should step up and compete and show up and do what we're used to them seeing, do what we're used to seeing them do, but they're just not doing it. Alright, that's all I have to say for today. If you guys had any thoughts about this game, hold your comments about Canada until the next video. I'll get that out soon. I'm trying my best. It will definitely be before the bronze match, don't worry. Let me know down below what you thought. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you had any criticism, or, you know, do y'all even use a timestamps? I'd be really curious. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal, but like, do you use them? Let me know. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye!